Hi, gay!
This week on Feeling My Oats, we talk about famous partnerships in pop culture, past and present, partnerships in terms of dating and relationships, and our partnership on this pod. Enjoy, fags!
Welcome back to
Feeling My Oats.
This is, of course, our weekly chat show where we kiki about our lives, catch up with politics, and have a fun, flirtatious, faggy good time. And did I say faggy?
You sure did, girl.
We're your hosts, Jeff Dunaway.
And Jojo.
And welcome to the show.
Bitch. But before we begin our episode on partnership, we want to encourage you all to engage with us on our Instagram at Feeling My Oats Pod, on Twitter at Feeling My Oats PD, and on our YouTube channel, which we've established a few weeks back, actually. If you're feeling even more frisky for attention, send us an email at feelingmyoatspod@gmail.com with your deepest, shadiest questions and stories. We hope to bring your mail into the pod in the future.
Yes, we do.
And finally, follow us on our Patreon. Just search for Feeling My Oats. You can check us out for exclusive content you can only find there. We also have exclusive sound bites, so you might want to check that out. In terms of tiers, though, we have 3 to choose from.
I've been crying. Tears.
Tears, yeah. Our first one, kind of feeling some oats. It's $3.50 with early access and 1 bonus episode per month. Our second tier, feeling more oats than before, just $7 with early access and 1 bonus episode, and you become part of our monthly viewing party over Zoom. And our third tier, called Oat Goat. For $13.50, you get early access, 1 bonus episode. You become part of our monthly viewing party over Zoom. And you get a personalized shout out during our episodes. What's better than that?
That sounds so exciting.
Right? Getting a personalized shout out.
In my nudes?
Yeah, in my
Honestly,
nudes?
I'll just throw in my nudes there as like a little bonus.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
We'll just DM you a picture of our holes.
Yeah, you don't need to pay me even. I'll just...
No, just sign up on Grindr, find Jeff, and you should be able to get a hole pic.
I haven't been on there for a while, so...
No, because you've been on other apps.
Apps such as... Christian for Christian.
Christian Mingle.
Such a great name for drag. Yeah.
But Jeff, how's your writing going?
It's good. I just had a piece, just went out.
A piece?
A piece. Two
pieces in a biscuit.
It's a new piece of writing. It's on the topic and the phenomenon of the crying white lady in
Who
pop
is
culture.
she, though? Who would play her?
She's anywhere. She's in me. She's in you.
She's been everywhere. She's around the world.
So I'm writing on the phenomenon of the crying white lady because I think it's like everywhere in the pop culture we consume, and I want to draw like a bigger conversation about like the white fragility and also how does it tie into our current political timing
and how it just manifests in every single facet of our personal and political lives, really.
Right. I mean, like, especially when we think about the gay audience or queer audience, like, we live...
Oh, my God. The white gays live for white women crying.
Which is, like, a weird history. Like, why is there such a relationship there between, like...
I think it's, like, the embodiment of femininity that kind of connects both, like, white gay men and white women.
Right. Like, there's the famous, like, gif of, I'm gonna give the gays everything they want.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, this is, like, I think there's a self-awareness in terms of, like, white woman crying and a white woman performance in pop culture specifically. And, like, there's, like, a two-way relationship there. It's kind of, like, curating how the market is, like, continuously profiting and exploiting those, like, white woman like, performances. Whether it's in film, pop, like TV or
and then at the same time you have these white men who are like performing like a mimicry of femininity. So it's like a lot larger. I
mean, we're all part of it. Like no matter how we think we're not part of it, we're still participating in some elements of it. Like when we think about Drag Race, when we think about like Twitter, like it's all like man participation with femininity in general. So I feel like it's like a really dense topic than I think it is.
Yeah, and then there's also an added layer of like black femininity.
Totally.
Right? Which is also on top of that being like a farce, becoming a farce in general.
Right. Like,
especially for white gay men who just reproduce the Laganja Extranja experience.
The experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially with Stan Twitter, which we'll talk about at some point in another episode or in my future writing. But like in overall, like I've been receiving a lot of good comments and also some conversation about the piece. So check it out.
Constructive and destructive criticism.
Totally.
Yeah. And you already know I'm gonna give you that fucking 100% destructive criticism. You should kill yourself.
Let me give you some constructive criticism. Jenna Maroney, she's a white woman in the show 30 Rock. Anyway, the fact that I know so much about these references.
You know so much about so little.
Like pop culture, like I don't know, like there seems to be I'm still in the early stages of figuring out what I am good at writing and also what I'm good at reporting.
So I'm gonna ask you one fair question. What are you good at successfully?
Being a friend to you.
I have no comment.
I do not want to comment.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to comment.
But enough about me. How about you? Like, how's everything going? Like, how's Twitch? I heard you set up something, right?
Ooh, you heard through that grapevine. All right. Yeah. Everything's actually going beautifully. And if you are interested, I have my Twitch account already set up. And like I've said in previous episodes, it's just going to be an extension of this pod. So all you have to do, if you're interested, listeners, just search for Feeling My Oats TTV. And I'll be on Twitch hosting video games, hosting weekly chats, viewings, and other things if possible. And it should be faggy and fun.
Yeah, what's the schedule looking like? Is it like, do you have any certain days that you stream?
I do. I had to make a schedule for myself.
Nice.
I still have some equipment to gather, but things are rolling. And in terms of my schedule, I want to dedicate Thursdays from 6 to 8 for daily chats and viewings, and Sundays from 12 to 3 for actual game streams. And as always, I'll keep you all posted on the socials, so keep an eye out for that. And
Sweet.
I honestly hope to see some of you there because that would mean the absolute world to me.
You'll see me there. You see me naked.
I see you everywhere, though.
Unwillingly,
yeah.
Yeah.
I opened Instagram and I see your faggot face right there.
We share the same algorithm.
We do.
The fact that like girls when they are so close together, they live together, their menstruation
they sync up.
Yeah. And for us, it's our algorithm.
Wow. How beautiful.
How
we have a sisterhood.
Traveling sister bottoms.
Yeah. But I want to know what's going on with you, though. Like, what's making you feel your oats today, this week, anything? And do you have any new revelations for us?
I have some new revelations about our relationship working together. I mean, we're talking about partnership in this episode. We'll talk more about, like,
what that means in terms of the pod.
Right, our working relationship and also our friendship. And also, I am currently enrolled in, like, the platform that I'm writing on is called Substack. Mm-hmm. And they launched a new writer group. It's called Substack Go. So I'm finding a new community there with beginning writers or novice writers. And I feel like, this feels nice to have someone who's tagging along the journey.
Yeah, because you can have those conversations about what to expect and just to keep each other motivated, right? Throughout the process, because it's a daunting task starting to write something and not knowing where it's going and how to like even advertise your writing. Totally. We're having the same problem right now with the pod. We're trying to figure out how can we advertise this in the most efficient way, but also cheapest way possible.
Yeah.
Cheap. Yeah.
I think a lot of like the conversation that I had with people thus far is like how do we continue writing and creating things without pretending we're something that we're not, and pretending we're bigger than we think we are or bigger than we think we should be. Like for example, like Twitch and like writing and like the podcast in general, like of course we're doing it for ourselves. It's always, I think, the philosophy that I always set out, it's like we're doing it for ourselves. We want to create good conversations and no
Good
matter
content.
good
in
content.
general.
It's like I think people, I mean, the friends around us are gonna show up or trying to like
They're
connect
going
with
to
us.
show us, and they're going to tell us when we flop.
Hey, flop,
Hi.
you flopped again.
They keep us humble, baby.
Sean, I think about the first email that we got from Sean. But
Yeah,
thank
he
you.
thought I was fat, he thought I was ugly, and he thought I was stupid. And guess what? He's not wrong.
Facts.
Facts are facts.
Facts are facts.
And fags are fags.
How about you? What are you feeling your oats this week? Like how? What's making you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling all kinds of oats as of late, mama. The good kinds and sometimes the bad kinds. I mean, they coexist, right?
Yeah.
But things are finally looking up, and I couldn't be happier in terms of what is happening in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've just started a new job, and I can't really...
Can't disclose.
I can't disclose. I can't confirm or deny.
I'm working a little project.
I'm working.
Are you going to Drag Race?
I am Drag Race. I am that main
I'm just gonna
stage.
go-
I just go on my hands
Yes.
and knees, and I'm the stage mama.
Yeah.
But I started this new job, and I can't disclose anything.
I do not want to comment.
Exactly, but I'm going through the training process, and it's a long contract, so I'm content with that.
Nice.
And it'll keep me busy on top of this pod and the Twitch stream, so I
Right.
can't complain about anything. Although I do wish to complain because everything sucks. But another thing too that I wanted to bring up, last week we discussed the issue on property and owning animals, and in the tradition of Valentine's Day, I just wanted to talk about how much I love my own pet. And I just want to take some time to really appreciate my relationship with my kitty cat named Jilly.
Hey, kitty girl.
Yeah, she's so beautiful and fluffy and lovely, and
How
we all
old
have
is-
those.
How old is Jilly, by the way?
She is going to be 11 this summer.
Not to sound dark, but what's the average lifespan?
I'd probably say like between 16 to 18 years, but I've seen cats live up to 22.
That's like
Yeah.
almost my age.
Yeah,
Damn.
they can live a long time, and
Right.
I think that people who have pets can understand how loving those relationships actually are,
Right.
and how much we kind of depend on them every day. Like, I wake up every morning and I see her at the foot of my bed just staring at me,
Yeah.
or in the morning she'll paw at my leg that's exposed, and it's annoying, but just knowing that you have that living creature
Right. It's
right
like a
next to
ritual.
you. Yeah, it's a ritual.
Yeah.
It's,
Do you remember how you adopted Jilly?
yeah, I got her from the SPCA. She was on sale. We paid, it was a Christmas gift. My mom got me a cat. She was $100, spayed,
Fully neutered.
not neutered. You're neutered.
I'm learning English. Sorry. Call back.
No, she was fully spayed. She had all her shots, everything, and $100, and she's the love of my life. Happy Valentine's Day, little baby
You should
girl.
spice up your relationship with Jilly. Just bring it out for
Peanut butter?
It's on sale. I'll get you some.
I bought a jar last night.
You put a hole in the middle. Fuck it. I really like people taking their cats out for a walk. That is so fierce.
Why don't I put a collar on you and walk you?
You can check that out on our Patreon. We should totally do. I'll be so down to do it. Like, I have no shame.
That would be
I
sexual.
have literally no shame. Like, you
I can tell. I can see.
yeah. Enough of this foolishness.
Yeah, but I just wanted to revisit that because Valentine's Day is today, allegedly. And I just wanted to bring that up for a lot of us who are alone.
You're not alone.
I have you.
I have
and
you.
I don't want you. I want to return.
Pick me, Rue. Pick me.
Pick me. Pick
Pick
me.
me, Rue.
But that's enough of our faggy.
Foolishness.
Yeah,
Just, that's the podcast.
that's it.
Thank you for listening.
No, actually, we're going to move on to our segment, What's an Adjective?
Just finding the soundbite right here.
What's an adjective?
There we go, bitch. This is the podcast segment. It's called What's an Adjective? We hit our random adjective generator, and we are gonna riff off and tell each other random juicy stories, or the first thing comes to mind. Who cares? So without further ado, let's see what adjective we got. Hit it.
You got succinct.
Succinct. I only heard suck, and I forgot the last part.
Okay, we'll redo it. And you got free.
Free?
What do you think of when you hear the word free?
The high road is, of course, freedom, and I'm not taking the high road. I'm taking the low road.
Which is what?
I think about customer service. Because like I'm speaking out to the people who are listening to podcasts who are similarly like myself, working in hospitality, and like
you're inhospitable though.
I am, and that's. I'm not. I think I'm just like when everybody's like giving great service, and
you're giving great service in the washroom.
That's where you can see my hole there. Anyway, wait.
It's not on Grindr anymore. It's at the coffee shop washroom.
Like I think about how like it's been so automated. People just give good service, and it's so cheap. Like,
and that's free.
Yeah,
you want people to pay you for good service.
Yeah, let me tell you a story. The other day, a guy came to work on the laptop and didn't get any drinks and just sat there as if like he owned the place. And me as the supervisor, I was like, this is not cool. Like, people have no customer etiquette. And I just went up to him and say, hey, do you want something? And he was like, no. You know how it goes. And I looked him straight into the eye and say,
do you want to go to the washroom?
That's what I wanted to do. But when I'm at work, I would be like, you need to get something. And we had like a Pearl and RuPaul moment. Like,
is there something on my face?
And I looked him in the eye. There's a quick second of me second guessing if I'm being too mean. But I was looking him straight in the eye and just like, you need to get something.
Okay, but I have a question. Is that like a policy at the coffee shop?
Yeah, of course. You have to get something.
I didn't know that was an actual thing. I thought that was just a myth.
No, I mean, I'm probably out of my line to tell people. But, like, you should be, as someone who is, like, walking into a space, especially a coffee shop, like, you should be getting something. Because you're paying respect to the people who work there and also the space. And, like,
I mean, yeah, it's part of the service, is, like, accessing the space, right?
Right. If it's a co-working space, I don't fucking care. Like, you...
Yeah.
If it's not... The issue is it's not a co-working space. It's a cafe.
Yeah.
And like baristas or bartenders, like restaurant workers, they need the table to make tips.
They do, yes.
Yeah, so you're just not going to sit there not paying anything and then
I mean, especially too since like everything started opening up again, right?
Right.
So you guys as service workers are like relying on those tables now because they've been closed, right?
Right.
So you're just relying on that extra little bit of income because you've been losing hours.
Totally.
So
and the fucking Ontario government is not the most friendly with restaurant workers. So
friendly with no one, baby.
Oh yeah, I can like it's a shit show.
Yeah,
like, I'm surprised. Like most of the people that I know are still like floating by, which
they're probably not.
Not yeah.
I mean, if you're losing income, other people are losing income, and not everyone's quick to even like talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
There's an inherent shame that comes with like not having access to money, which is like a given, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have if you're not guaranteed hours at your job,
right,
then you're
being left to yourself, basically.
Yeah. Basically,
yeah. So that's my spiel
on
freedom. How do you spell spiel, by the way? S English lessons. I'm not doing
Come on, English lessons.
Do you want to hit your adjective?
Yes.
Let's see.
I got cuddly.
Oh.
So when I think of cuddly, I love giving hugs.
You do?
You know me. Every time I see you, I'm very touchy.
You hug me with your third arm. No, just joking.
No, even before the pandemic even hit, when the prospect of the virus even showed up, I was kind of afraid because we were already told at that point not to interact with other people, right? And not to touch other people and to maintain distance. And that scared me because I am very affectionate. I'm very affectionate, and I show affection not only through like verbal communication because I call everyone babe, love, whatever, but I have to show it physically. And so when I was told that might not be a possibility, and because I live alone, that scared me. It really did, and it really impacted my mental health. A lot of people who are affectionate like that, physically at least, it really impacted them.
I wonder how like affected. Like I feel like when I get a hug, like I feel like a rush of like serotonin. Hey Sarah.
Yeah.
It feels good. It feels good to hug someone. And
Yeah.
I feel like people who pretend they're not huggers are just like, girl, like I know you love hugs.
No, we all love that
hugs.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people who've experienced like mass amounts of trauma. They're just like, don't fucking touch me at all, which I respect because I'm like that too. It's like I am very affectionate, but if like someone else came and touched me without my permission, I'd be like, get the fuck away from me.
I hear that.
So there are boundaries that people have, such as myself.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my family. So I like the way that I'm drawing my example is like from my family. We're just like never been like very cuddly people.
Yeah,
and, like touch was never something that my family does, or like I wish I like when I left in the airport to Canada, like I remember hugging my parents.
And you're like, this is the first time in a very long time.
Like
probably.
In a way that we really mean it. It's like it's kind of like we're really going into new terrain. Like,
yeah. Meanwhile, like my family, all of us, very affectionate.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, my parents, my father still kisses me on the forehead.
Oh.
My mom, she's so tiny I can rest my chin on her head. And I think I was just raised like in this affectionate household, but I think that's also part of like
culture.
Yeah. The culture, I mean, the working class background too, because like my parents all grew up in like broken / poor households. So they only had each other. Like, and when I say each other, like themselves and their siblings, right? And they had these like codependent relationships, and yeah, it was always affection over everything else, basically. So
I'm thinking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the 4 old people just in the bed, just like cuddling together.
I mean, not because they want to, because they're poor. But,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, when the pandemic started alleviating, more recently at least, I've been kind of seeing you regularly at least.
Yeah.
Because we're recording this.
We should hug more.
We should fornicate.
Yeah. That's gonna be on.
We should do some human centipede.
Human centipede.
We should do some human centipede kind of stuff. We're like ass to mouth.
I need to be in the front.
No, mama.
Because you have IBS, and I don't want none of that shit.
Literally, pun intended. Anyways, but that kind of concludes our segment on what's an adjective.
Soundbite.
What's an adjective?
There you go, bitch. I'm working really hard on the soundbite. I think I'm really
work harder.
I think I'm really doing a good job. So I'm gonna shout out to myself.
Wow, she's humble, girls.
You know me. You know me. I guess you don't
know me.
But before we get into our topic of partnership, we want to take a quick break.
Yay.
And we are back.
Mm-hmm.
This week we wanted to keep a little bit lighter and fresh, especially following our last episode on the topic of property. So this week we're going to talk about partnership in the broadest way possible.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of a broad definition of a partnership, in a world where we are all encouraged to act as individuals, we wanted to take some time actually to talk about partnership as a kind of collective, whether that's a duo or a pair or just any kind of collective that you can even fathom or imagine.
Duo.
So we came up with a list of famous partners or just partnerships in general. And we want to have a brief conversation about our first initial thoughts. So without further ado, Jeff, what do you think about Nicole Scherzinger and her backup dancers?
I still don't know who they're called Pussycat Dolls. But there's
when I read that, I didn't understand what you were fucking mentioning.
But it's always Nicole and the other people. Like, and it's such a culture trope. Like, there's always a good one. I think it's also ties in with the writing that I'm writing at. It's like they can only particularize one person and make it a thing, and then like other people are just to accentuate that kind of phenomenon, which is pretty much like anything that
I think it's part of like the marketability of them, because I mean Nicole is the only one who can actually sing well.
And she's amazing.
Yeah, and she's really great. She's a great vocalist, but in terms of like marketability, I mean she's the one that brings the audience in, right?
Because if she performs solo, like nothing.
I mean she has performed solo and it didn't pick up.
Really?
Oh. It didn't pick up at all. People weren't buying it, and like
maybe that's why they rebanded together, because they probably spent all their money there.
I mean, I think the producers or whoever's in charge of that band in particular thought, hey, it's me, Scarlett.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Yeah, they probably thought it's best to collect them all together again. Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, because there's no Pussycat Dolls without the other girls.
There's no Pussycat Dolls without the Pussycat Dolls, right?
What about Pussycat Wigs?
That's Monet. That's Monet Exchange.
The Monet Exchange. What do you think about Trixie and Katya? I love how you put two faggy bald fucks right behind. Do you have something to say about them?
I love those two, and they've kind of inspired this podcast in many ways. That's why we just talk about random shit.
Yeah.
We make random jokes because we think we're kind of funny.
I'm more responsible for that part.
What part?
The funny part.
That part.
That part.
But I do enjoy their back and forths. I enjoy their conversations.
Right.
I think they're just really funny, creative people, and I want to continue kind of exploring that kind of dynamic, between us.
I know. You also put down Demi and Put Lovato.
I love those two, the alter egos.
Yeah. It's there's a book called like Jacqueline Clyde or something.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
Jacqueline Clyde.
Jacqueline Hyde.
Oh, that's a drag name.
That's a drag name, yeah. Like, she always do two faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
but Demi and Put Lovato, if you're not familiar with Put Lovato, I encourage you to Google. Let me know. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. I think you're the Poot to my Demi.
You're the Poot to my Demi.
I'm the Toot to your Boot.
You're the Poot to my Poot.
Yeah.
There you
Lighting.
go. Lighting. Lighting, mama. Lighting.
If someone is putting fucking front on bright flashes, of course I'm gonna look fucking ugly.
You already do, girl.
My best profile is 10-0 from the backside.
Full 180.
I'm the reason why doggy style exists. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because you're a dog. But going on to Jeff's next pick, what do you think about Alyssa Edwards and Tatiana?
One of the greatest moments that inspired. I think that is our foundation of the podcast.
Yeah,
like that is like the like two of them coming together and create something great, and they knew it. They knew they were gonna create something great because they know each other's capabilities, and they're just there like.
They're just vibing.
They're really just vibing.
Yeah.
That is my Bible. Like, I revisit that. We're going to include some...
This lip sync?
Yeah.
For real?
That is my prayer. That is my gay prayer.
This lip sync?
Why not? It's like legendary.
Work, mama.
Yeah. I think about how like we're gonna include the clip in the on the Instagram, just like for a quick reference for listeners out there.
Yeah, let's do it.
I remember that was my first introduction to Drag Race. I was like
All Stars 2.
Yep.
You were that late.
I was that girl. I was that bitch.
Wow. Yeah. And then you caught up on everything because this is your religion now.
It was totally my religion. I mean, I am basing my personality off a television show.
And so am I. I'm basing it off of a television show too.
I know.
Anyways, in terms of your fourth pick, you have Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Who are they? Who would play them?
We should look under our tables and see if Monica's there. Hey, Monica.
You are so
gutted,
rotted. You are saying things in poor taste. I cannot. I'm leaving.
You know what?
Get me my pocketbook. I'm out.
I think that was the whole point of people start to understand politicians are fucking gutted people.
I think most of us already knew that they were gutted even before all of this.
Like Watergate, people if something is so affecting real lives, people actually don't give a shit. But when a scandal like Monica and Bill, people are more interested because there's so much scandalous and scandalo. That kind of feeling, people are more attracted to the whole drama of it all.
But it's all part of celebrity culture. In the US too, they eat that shit up. Celebrity culture, any kind of scandal that comes out of those celebrity interactions.
Right.
I mean, presidents are still celebrities in their own rights, even though they are supposed to represent the state and the people.
The people, yeah. Yeah. And guess what? Sarah Paulson is in the series.
What series?
American Crime Story.
Oh, yeah. Of course, because that's her whole career now.
Yeah.
But celebrity culture just kind of manifests in our popular culture all the time.
Yeah, totally.
And Americans are so fixated on it. I still don't understand because I don't consume any of that, and nor do I care about these people because they're not impacting my life.
Right.
They're not paying my bills.
If they're not paying your bills,
pay them bitches no mind. Anyways, Jeff's last pick here: drag queens and Elmer's glue
stick.
The purple one specifically.
It really changes our the inventor of the glue stick probably have never.
They would have never supported this.
I feel like if they introduce a purple glue stick, I feel like that's a wink to queer culture.
I don't think so. Literally, as it dries, it turns pale. It's just they have it purples because it indicates once it's dry, it just dries up clear.
Interesting. Sounds like you've done drag.
No, I've just done arts and crafts, mama.
That's drag.
That is drag.
But I love how a product has been selling so much. I wonder if I look at the sales and how in the recent decade it has skyrocketed.
That's your next piece?
That's my next piece. Elmer's glue.
Do it.
I want to eat it.
You should.
For you have finally...
my last one. My butt cheeks. They always clap and cheering me on when I'm walking.
Do you have names for them? TT and Tiny?
Yeah, TT and Tiny. Sally and Wally.
RuPaul and Michelle.
Merle Ginsburg's Drag Race. No, I don't have names for them, but they, like I said, they are always cheering me on. They clap and just clap.
Whenever you walk?
Yeah.
When you wipe, is it a 2-person job?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I need a third hand.
Oh, you can just tuck your thing and shut it up.
I need a third hand because it's so wide.
Mouth wide open.
Mouth wide open. Mouth wide open like I was at the dentist. Anyways, that concludes our segment on partnerships here. And before we actually move on further with our topic, we'll be right back.
Yeah. Bitch. I'm leaving that in. And we are back. As we have made a fool out of ourselves, previously we want to take some time actually to develop some of our thoughts about partnerships, specifically romantic partnerships, and whether in the context of dating or even mentioning our discussions about monogamy and also polyamorous relationships. In light of this, though, I think we ultimately need to first give a really quick definition of the word partnership and how we kind of define words such as partner. Because I recently noticed like a trend of people start to use more the word partner. So I'm just wondering, like for example, do you have any thoughts about the partner word?
Yeah, I actually prefer the term partner. Again, like I've said in the past, even in terms of my own gender identity, I like ambiguity. I like things to be ambiguous. I don't like things to be straightforward and
Straight.
obvious and straight. Yeah. So for me, I've always used the term partner because I think also the terms boyfriend and girlfriend seem very juvenile and hetero, right?
Right.
And they kind of imply a gender
Right.
on top of that. So it makes my skin crawl, and it works within a binary understanding of like what gender is, and it fails to capture the differences in gender identity. And I also prefer to use the term partner because it serves as a great launching point to protect yourself, right?
Right.
So when you are engaged with someone who is being overbearing or
Right.
violent or harmful,
Or you don't know how they...
are going to react, right?
Right.
It's a good way to protect yourself. Like I've been picked up in Ubers several times, and like I don't necessarily always feel comfortable, but sometimes they'll ask you like, "Where are you going? Where'd you come from?" And I'll just say my partner,
My house.
my house. And you just say partner. It leaves room for interpretation, and that's it, right?
Personally, I cannot relate because I've never had a partner.
Well, you and I are partners.
We are partners. Yeah. We'll talk about a creative partnership in later the episode, but
Yeah. And it full out like encapsulates like what it should be at its core anyways. Like a relationship is a partnership.
Right.
And it can either be a partnership between two or more people, right?
Or more.
I
Two
just
or
said
more,
two
yeah.
or more.
Sorry.
Or more. Or even more.
Or even less when I kill them.
But the problem I have with the term, like I've already discussed in terms of my non-binary identity, is that it has fully become entrenched in liberal circles and liberal ideologies, right?
Interesting.
It has,
Right.
in many ways. It's a term that a lot of queer people use, but then it gets co-opted by other straight white women who are just like, "This is my partner," and I'm like, "Okay, I already know your partner is."
It's Chad.
Yeah, it's Chad.
It's Chad. It's chocolate. It's chocolate.
Yeah. But with all of this in mind, I found this really insightful article written by this woman named Kelly Gonzalve from the MBG Relationships. And I'm not even sure what that acronym is.
My big Jillies.
My big girlies.
That's a great name.
Yeah, but the article is called Why Some People Say Partner in a Relationship Instead of Boyfriend and Girlfriend. And although this is very liberal in context and approach, like I've already mentioned, I still think it appropriately summarizes why the term partner is important to consider. And we're going to read actually a bit of it.
Oh, you want to read?
I want to read the children.
Read the children.
The children. But here is an excerpt. What does the word partner mean in a relationship? Partner is simply a way of describing someone you're romantically or sexually involved with. It doesn't necessarily indicate any particular level of seriousness or commitment, although some people do tend to associate the word with a more committed relationship. The word partner is not new. According to Jen Dahl's reporting in The Atlantic, the term arose around the 14th century to connote a more equal relationship between a married man and woman in comparison to the gendered marriage terms husband and wife that had been used since the 11th and 9th centuries respectively.
And we're also respectfully.
Yeah. Husband originally meant master of the house.
Uh-oh.
So you can see the need for an update.
Uh-oh.
End quote. Right?
Well, I think there's some points that I want to pressure a little bit more, because I think when we think about like the use of partner in presumably a straight relationship, I wonder if they do reserve some slack, like yeah, you can use partner, whatever. Like, because I think a lot of our understanding of gender has to do with the concept of passing.
Yeah.
And like, what if their partner is like a trans person? Like,
Yeah.
how does transness come into the conversation about the word partner in contrast to like passing relationships or not passing relationships?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that Kelly here actually raises in this article, the difference between partner, boyfriend, and other relationship labels, and has a few points here. Like, for example, the first point, partner avoids gender roles, right? Number 2, partner makes space for queer people. The term partner has historically been seen and used by primarily non-heterosexual couples to refer to their own other halves, and some use it to express alliance with the queer community.
Right.
And then you have the third point here. Partner has some gravity to it, so it legitimizes things a little more, or it makes things a little more concrete, right? And then the fourth point, partner reflects what a healthy romantic relationship really looks like.
It's work.
It is work, and that's what a partnership is. It's equal halves, right?
Right. I feel like, in my mind, sometimes it's not the equal halves. Sometimes it's the work exactly to make each other into equal halves.
Yeah.
But a relationship doesn't always start with like equal halves. Like, some people are more, like, have more social capital. They're in a better position in a relationship, and they're able to like work something out together. Again.
Yeah, there are some nuances in partnerships, of course.
Yeah. But I was wondering how the word like boyfriend or girlfriend, I think it's actually a way for people to figure what kind of sex you're having.
Yeah.
People are invasive.
It's intrusive, for sure.
Yeah, because like when I say, oh, this is my boyfriend, I think that is a great like signal for people to figure out what kind of sex that I'm having. And also introduction, like, oh, he must be a bottom then. Because I
mean, their assumptions are correct. But...
Not really. Since last year, you should see me. Yeah, I think we're, in relation to how sex obsessed our culture is, I think partnership kind of draws away some of the distance away.
The ambiguity that comes with it. Right. I mean, queerness in general is not political by virtue of the sex you're having, right? It's political by virtue of the kind of relationships that you build outside that kind of force everyone to think about other ways of expressing
expressions.
Just expressing.
Expressions.
Just in terms of like expressing yourself, Yeah,
I feel Yeah, but how, when you think about romantic partnerships, like how do you think, for you, for example, like how has your past experience shaped into what kind of romantic partner that you are, do you think?
Yeah, I've been in multiple relationships and in romantic ones specifically, and they take so much trust, patience, practice, understanding, and compromise. Like, it is work, as you've aptly pointed out already. And I've dated a lot of men, and I've been in a lot of monogamous relationships. I've never been in any polyamorous ones, but I've been shit on over and over and over again.
Like shit on?
Yeah, just on my chest.
Since when you topped?
It's just, I've been in multiple relationships and they've all ended terribly in some way or another, whether I was like cheated on or like treated like shit, and to the point where it was just like, that's enough. I don't engage with very many anymore, or even want to, or even pursue anyone anymore, because it's difficult and it takes a lot of emotional intelligence that I do not have at this current moment in my life.
They were old maiden
type of shoes. Yeah, I'm just focusing on this pod and the new job and the Twitch and all. I'm just keeping my focus.
I'm gonna make this year about me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna work it.
But as a Pisces, you and I are both Pisces. We often daydream and we expect a lot from other people. At least I can say for myself.
Yes.
I have so many high expectations, and they sometimes backfire and bite me in the ass. And I'm sure they bite you in the ass too.
Yeah, just a tiny little ass.
It's just a tiny little... Teeny little tiny like, mosquito bite. But, yeah, I mean, our expectations are high, and, like, if those people don't meet those expectations, then we kind of just drop them, right?
Yeah.
So,
oh, wow, you're really calling me out.
This pod is about calling each other out. That's why communication is so important, because no one's obligated. If you're dating someone, they're not obligated to go to every fucking event that you're going to or to do everything that you want to do.
Right.
There's no obligation, and people don't realize that.
Right.
They think, oh, we're a partnership, we have to do everything together. We have to share accounts. We have to go to the same events. You have to come meet my parents. You have to come do this. I have to go do that. That's not the case. If they don't fucking want to do it, they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they don't fucking love you or that you don't mean anything to them, right?
Right, I hear you.
It's just, you have to find a balance. Also, you can't force anyone to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they say they love you or whatever, you can't force them to do anything.
Right.
And that's something that people don't realize. Even in a healthy, that is a healthy relationship, is realizing that they don't have to do everything you want to do.
Right.
And letting them make their own decisions.
Right. Like, entering a relationship doesn't mean sacrificing your selfhood.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And there's a key question that I ask myself every time too. Would I want to be treated the same way? Would I expect someone to treat me in that same way?
Right. Huh, that's a great question.
Because if someone treated me like that and was expecting me to do everything with them, and I wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, that's a fair way. Like, it takes a lot of empathy and also a lot of prerequisite empathy, and also certain kinds of emotional intelligence to be able to get there, and also to actively making it part of the relationship. I think it's really admirable. It's not easy.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, relationships should be equals. I mean, but you already aptly pointed out that it's not always the case, but ideally, that's what a partnership is.
Right. I think what you're saying about like thinking for the other person in their shoes kind of applies for every kind of relationship, whether it's friendship, like business partner. I think that's like a pretty interesting and also really useful
way question. Of just envisioning like what this is supposed to look like.
Right. And I'm curious
in a healthy way though.
Right,
like, as healthy as it can be.
Right, because I think like the nuance in that kind of question, because a lot of people kind of weaponize that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, I know a lot of people who do that. They're like, you need to do this, this, this. You need to give me your account information. You need to do all, like, I think that's insane.
Right.
And not...
Like, you mean a couple getting a joint account, is it?
Getting joint account. I don't even want to live with a future partner.
The only joint that I want is my joints.
Exactly. Oh, my joints. I'm so old.
And my joints.
Puff, puff.
Oh, if it ain't green,
I'm not interested. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, financial, like, how do you say it? Like, financial
independence? Or financial reliability in some kind of ways.
It's pretty dangerous. And people often get into those, like, situations just
all the time.
And they don't even know it when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on for hours about this topic, but I think we need to take another break, actually.
We'll come back and talk about toxic relationship and why it's so important to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
BRB.
And we are back. Before we jump into the conversation about toxic relationship, I feel like it's important to talk about why we're talking about it and what are the broader cultural reasons that made us into talking about it. I was reading a book called Manufacturing Happy Citizens, How the Science and Industry of Happiness Control Our Lives. In the introduction, it talks about how since 1995, there's a huge boom in positive psychology, specifically studying how happiness works.
Yeah.
So back in 1998, a psychologist called Martin Seligman, when he was running for the president position for the APA, that is American Psychological Association, he wanted to chart out a new terrain for psychology study. And he found out that during the 90s, there's a huge material boom in the US that is happening. And people start to have different reactions about their happiness and their emotions. And he found a perfect way to secure his presidency by stating that there's a new terrain and a third field that needs to be discovered. and that is exactly how he came into the president for 2 terms.
Okay.
And what does this presidency mean? Because he managed to gather a lot of funding from the government and also kind of filtered out to therapists, public education about mental health. And I think since the 1995 to our recent timing, I think there's a huge discussion about mental health. And it's part ingrained in our consciousness that we always talk about mental health.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are trying to trace that history back to this particular moment.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about toxic relationship specifically, like we're so
how it manifests. We're so fixated on like what is toxicity
exactly
and what capacity, right?
Yeah.
And we sometimes can't even gather words to describe what toxicity is in
just
general.
Describe someone as toxic. It's a reductive term in some cases when like it's actually we're more willing to talk about a toxic person than to talk about the toxic behaviors is what I'm getting at. Because it's so easy and it's so popular for us to call something toxic than actually talking about what it is,
And this harkens back to what we've talked about in the past too, especially on our episode about memories.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about how fixated we all are on the negative rather than the positive, right?
Interesting. Right.
It's just something that kind of just feeds on us.
Yes.
We're always thinking about things that are negative, that are toxic, that are negative, just impacting us in the worst ways possible, right?
Right. Yeah. And I'm thinking about like how before we jump into our like conversation, I think I'm not blaming that we have a huge bloom of like vocabulary, but I think our generation specifically, when we have so much of the language to describe what we're feeling, like how can we use it more tightly and more, be more deliberate in our word choices.
Approach,
yeah. And like and we don't call ourselves like experts on this, but we're just trying to bring out conversations and like
we're trying to navigate this ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. When we were doing some research on the concept of toxicity, I think a resource that we found, it's under Dr. Lillian Glass, who is a California-based communication and psychology expert who coined the term toxic relationship in her book Toxic People. She defines it as any relationship between people who don't support each other, where there's a conflict and one seeks to undermine the other, where there's competition, where there's disrespect and a lack of cohesiveness. So Jojo, besides this definition, like what are some of the things that you noticed about toxic?
Just toxic relationships in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to have these conversations actually because it establishes the parameters of what constitutes toxic, right? And we are already talked about this, like what is toxic and why is it so relevant to
our current timing.
Yeah, our current time,
right.
Exactly. And I think we need to establish as a collective, like what does that even mean?
Right.
And I think this definition ultimately defines the parameters of what constitutes toxicity, right? And it provides us the language we need as a collective, as people, to identify certain behaviors and patterns.
Right.
And I think it's just important to actually branch out and have these conversations in a wider setting because a lot of people, and especially in regards to gaslighting, we can't identify like what is toxic, right?
Right.
Gaslighting is like in complete contrast to this, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but it also is a form of toxicity in its own right.
Right. And I'm thinking how, like, even though the surplus of language that we have, we sometimes really don't have the outsider's perspective to really look into the relationship that we're having.
Yeah.
And to, I'm going to do something about it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is partly also echoes back to the conversation we had earlier about we have to be our own. We have to protect our selfhood.
Yeah.
While we're in no matter what kinds of relationship it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But when you think of a toxic relationship or partnership or whatever it may be, what does that look like for you?
I'm thinking it also harkens back to the cuddly adjective that we talked about earlier. I think I'm making a really generalizing argument. I think Asian culture especially have a little bit challenge in terms of accessing their emotions and let alone channeling it and trying to have emotional education to your kids.
Yeah.
So I think growing up, I have to interpret emotions through so many layers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people compare it to a plate of fruit from an Asian
Fruit?
parent, from an Asian parent as a sign of love.
That's
fruity. I love this flavor.
I love this drink.
But I think a lot of Asian people, I'm only talking about myself, and I think a lot of people only retroactively notice, oh my god, my parents were actually toxic.
Yeah.
Only years later, maybe decades later, because...
Well, you're also here witnessing other people and their relationships with their parents, and you're kind of identifying...
Right, and my parents are not with me. We're not living in the same place right now. So I had the privilege and the outsider's perspective into looking backwards into my life.
And you had that time, too, to reflect. I mean, you are in your late 20s now, so...
Right. And I feel like being gay or queer kind of helps me to find some kind of emotional language.
Oh, definitely.
We talk so much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have this relationship and we have this access to language that kind of allows us to form bonds outside of our like familial attachments, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have that going for us. What else?
for you, what, like, aside from the financial kind of toxicity, what kinds of toxicity that you also see from other examples?
Oh, like I've said earlier already, like when people want to know exactly where their partner is at all times, I think that's toxic. Like if you don't trust that person enough, then maybe you shouldn't be with them.
Right. Especially for first time relationships.
Yeah, I mean that happens all the time. That's when you find out like what kinds of boundaries you need to establish. Mm-hmm. It's a learning curve. And first time relationships, that's when you actually figure out what you want. So
call me out like that.
No, but I've seen people wanting to know where their partners are at all times, and I'm like, that's kind of like intrusive. And if, like I said, if you don't trust that person enough.
Right. It's more like an indicament of who that person feels.
Or how they feel.
How they feel. Like they're probably feeling some kind of insecurity.
I mean, I feel insecure all the time, but guess what?
But you don't channel it like that.
No, because I'm self-aware.
Okay.
I'm self-aware of like my actions and what patterns and behaviors that I have. And I try not to, channel that onto someone else.
Right.
Like it's not fair.
Right.
It's not fair. It's also toxic.
Right.
So you can't always blame all of your problems on your mental illness. Like sometimes you have to like sit back and be like, all right, am I the toxic one?
Am I the drama?
But yeah, you have these intrusive thoughts and you need to figure out how to control them.
Right.
And you sometimes need to look inward to solve the issue, unfortunately. I mean, as difficult as that is.
Right. Because if I have, like, it really triggers some people's, like, flight or fight, like, mechanism. Yeah. I mean, of course, there's a gray area there. And having fight as in sitting down with your partner and talk about, like, what is actually happening. Yeah. And why they're reacting in such a way. And also the flighter who's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like, yeah. But like you said, like being in a relationship is work, right?
It's laborious.
And how much you can actually see the potential of that relationship, and how much love do you have for that person to actually fight the good fight? I mean, it sounds so cheesy. Not that I have any experience, but I think people who have never been in a relationship gives the worst and best relationship advice because they're in such an idealistic way of looking at relationship. They can talk anything.
But you've never had your heart stomped on, really.
But I've been to friendships. I think that's partnerships in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that gives me a good gateway to see how people operate. I think.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that I'm bad at falling in love.
It just means that you're bad.
Yeah.
At everything
I'm
else.
I'm a daddy. Sue me. Sue me, bitch.
Thank you.
But with that out of the way, we want to talk about our partnership on this pod and how we've completely developed something so truly special, right?
You're special.
You're special.
When you say special, is that a light read?
No, it's a full read. It's a heavy read.
I've been enjoying this process of creating with you a lot.
Me too.
And I think I can't believe it. Like, I still can't believe we're actually doing it.
Yeah, we've been doing this for over a month now.
Really?
This is our 5th episode.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so exciting.
It's that's so exciting.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah, we've been doing this for over a month now. By the time this episode is released, it'll be over a month.
Episode.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, at the end of this year, we're gonna have 52 episodes. Imagine if we.
I mean, we'll hold our horses.
Hold our horses.
But yeah, this process has just been fulfilling for me, at least. Mm-hmm. It's a creative avenue to get my ideas across, to have these conversations with you, even though we've used to have them all the time.
Outside of...
outside of this recording session.
Do you think we filter ourselves when we're recording?
I mean, yes, but that's what everyone does.
I feel like I'm working a muscle. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I want to work that muscle too.
It's right underneath here. I think part of it, why is it so enjoyable? It's like, I think it's the intention. We set out an intention to make something, and actually seeing it coming together as like a thing that's living on the internet. It's like it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like I think even though we're in the really early stages of figuring out, and I think the format is changing every week.
It definitely is. Yeah. Last week was heavy. This week is lighter. It's fun. We're trying to keep it fresh. We're trying to keep a perfect balance between
faggotry
and the serious, right?
Yeah.
And I think that our vision, as we've kind of established from the very beginning, this is it.
This is it.
This is the vision.
That's it. 6 more cocks.
About 6 more fucking dicks.
So what are some of your more enjoyable moments and not so enjoyable moments?
I actually enjoy thinking of potential episode ideas. I think that's the most exciting part. The less exciting part about it is filling up the gaps. But yeah, the gaps, like my thigh gap. My thigh gap.
Thigh gaps.
But yeah, I like doing that. I actually very much enjoy posting on social media and doing all that. I think that's really fun. But our viewers don't really engage with it very much.
Shame. Cue the shade rattle.
And I want more engagement. But I'm still having a blast. And I think that...
is it a Baja blast?
It's a Baja blast. it keeps me motivated throughout the day. And... That's it. That's it.
For me, I think being responsible for setting up the recording and also learning how the production side of things has been really fulfilling.
It's very sexual, right?
Yeah, like in terms...
you guys can't see this right now, but this microphone is slimy.
Yeah, I sat on it.
And farted.
Because like rather taking a course on the production, I wanted to be task-based.
Yeah.
Like I have a specific question in mind that I'm going to figure out on the internet. I'll be like, how do I turn up the bass?
Yeah.
And I'll just search for it and find ways to figure it out instead of taking a whole fucking semester of fucking audio production, you know?
Yeah.
Like I love that resourcefulness that I'm discovering. I mean, it's always been there, but I feel like I'm channeling something.
You are very resourceful, so.
Yeah. I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
No copyrights.
I
think it's 15 seconds. Anyway, what is something that you learn about yourself, do you think, like since producing the show?
I've talked about this already, but patience. I've had to develop new strategies to kind of like filter out my lack of patience, especially when I ask you to finish your part of the script and it's like the day before and I am panicked.
You know, I like to improv. I'm an improv queen.
Yeah. Improve.
Yeah,
an improve queen.
Put an E in it.
And something else that I've learned about myself, that I'm actually very resourceful as well.
Yes, you are. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for that.
I don't. I am very hard on myself, and it shows in the earlier episodes. At least I think they were more structured, whereas this episode is just pure fucking chaos.
This is organized chaos.
Disorganized chaos.
The amount of claps I have to. For those who are listening, when we kind of stumble and also we have made mistakes, we have to clap and then to notify the editor, aka me, to know where to cut. And the amount of claps that we've been editing is getting less and less.
Really?
Yeah. Last episode we only had a few, but this is just some insider information about the production.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of you. I think you've been really patient with me, which I don't think you give yourself enough credit for.
I'm trying to be patient with you, girl.
I need some
patience to deal with you.
I love ourselves.
Mm-hmm. But how do you describe our creative differences and similarities?
I think when I thought about this the other day, I think for me, I have had more creative opportunities and creative projects that I've done in the past. Like I know how to work with my creative muscle.
Yeah.
And it's okay to make mistakes. And I think the only way that we know what works for us is by making mistakes.
That's what you've taught me.
And the faster we make those mistakes, the faster we learn more about ourselves, learn about how to make things great, and also
we learn about our process.
Exactly.
Isn't
that what a relationship is?
Yeah, it's a partnership. We learn about our process together because my process working on something creative is completely different from yours.
Right.
But we are learning how to do that together, and I think that's something very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I want to cherish that because I'm enjoying this.
Oh.
I enjoyed this very much.
Is there a reference?
No, I enjoy you, Jeff.
Oh.
I love you.
We're gonna fuck later.
No, we're not.
Doggy style.
Yeah, because no one wants to look at that face.
I think I want to encourage you to be ugly. You are that beauty, you are the beauty queen on the season that the judges are telling. Don't be afraid to get ugly.
Yeah, but
you're the Carrie Colby.
I am the Carrie Colby of this season.
How do you see this partnership kind of evolve, and also, do you have any future ideas that we can?
Oh yeah, we do have future ideas, but we're not going to talk about them today.
Yeah.
In terms of future projects that outside of this pod, the Twitch.
The Twitch.
Yeah, the Twitch on your eyelid.
Someone call the ambulance.
The ambulance. Y'all should really consider following me on Twitch at Feeling My Oats TTV.
That's sickening. It's Feeling My Oats TTV.
Yes. That's where you will see other content related to the pod, but not exclusively about the pod.
Right.
I will be the one kind of working through the Twitch account, but I do envision Jeff and I playing maybe League of Legends together and streaming together.
Sickening.
That'd be fun.
Have you played? No?
Yeah, I've played League of Legends before.
Lord. That's sickening.
Yeah. And so we're just trying to expand our horizons, really.
Yeah. And I always think opportunities create opportunities.
Of course.
Because you never know what can happen, and it's all one thing that I've learned, just to quickly add, I think I've learned more how to articulate better and also how to actually express myself.
Yeah.
Because I think I know, in my head, I think I was a great...
You were good at expressing.
But when I'm listening to the episode, I'm like, what the fuck is this person talking about? And when I'm editing, I'm slowly learning how to actually talk properly and also eloquently.
Yeah.
We
love that. We love growth. We love growth.
We stand for growth.
Yes, Mom.
Okay. And I think this wraps up our episode on partnership.
It sure does.
Make sure to follow us on our socials and send us a message on feelingmyoatspod@gmail.com. And we want to hear your juicy stories, and if you have any suggestions, just send them my way.
Yeah.
Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And while you're there, support a bitch by leaving a 5-star rating. You can also find us on Instagram at feelingmyoatspod and Twitter at feelingmyoatspd. If you like what you're hearing, consider joining us on our Patreon for exclusive content and faggy good fun. You can also find me on Instagram at Jeff Dunaway _ and Substack at pleaseremindme.com.
And you can find me on Twitch at Feeling My Oats CTV and on Instagram at We Did It Joel.
Sweet.
And just for you single fellas out there, let us know if you want to partner up with Jeff because he's single and ready to mingle.
Fuck.
But in the meantime, thank you for listening to our faggy voices and opinions, and we hope that you feel your oats today.
Feeling my oats. Let me
Let me
feel
feel
my
my oats.
Bye.
Bye.